Lisa Parker appeared in a white lab coat, her sharp eyes and calm demeanor exuding intelligence. Commander Rick Hayes stood tall in dark tactical gear, his posture disciplined but approachable. Both looked remarkably ordinary, and yet there was something unnervingly composed about their presence. Dr. Parker's ship, Eureka, and Commander Hayes' vessel, Sentinel, arrived simultaneously. Tsar explained, his voice tinged with a mix of awe and unease. What's remarkable is not just their arrival, but what they brought with them. On the screen, a new image appeared, a sleek black device about the size of a small shuttle, radiating faint blue light from its core. This, Tsar continued, is a human-made rescue and recovery pod. In under 3 hours, it fully repaired the Aurora's Edge's engine, a feat our best minds couldn't even begin to approach. A murmur swept through the chamber, punctuated by gasps from the more technically minded species. The Zenthari Captain Jorik stood, his scaled hand gripping his desk. How can we trust these humans? They refuse to join us, yet they flaunt their superiority when it suits them. Dr. Velmuth interjected, her mandibles clicking with nervous energy. Captain Jorik, their refusal to engage in our politics is not flaunting. It might be restraint. Imagine what such technology could do in the hands of the Core Dominion or the Zarthus Hive. Or us, Jorik growled, his eyes narrowing. Ignoring the tension, Tsar continued, Commander Hayes offered no explanation for their technology. When asked about their isolation, he echoed Captain Morrison's cryptic answer, You'll understand someday. The room buzzed with speculation until a small, spherical alien floated forward, a being of pure energy known as Oruses, representing the Elon Collective. Its voice resonated in every representative's mind. Perhaps they hide not out of arrogance, but caution. Humans might protect us from what we do not yet comprehend. Tsar gestured toward the image of the repaired Aurora's Edge, now flanked by its 2 rescuers. The humans left Kepler Station this morning. Their parting words? Thank you for your assistance. If you ever need our help, you know where to find us. Silence fell over the chamber, heavy with the implications. Dr. Velmuth finally spoke, her voice a quiet tremor. Perhaps the greatest question is not why they isolate themselves, but why they are so willing to help despite it. Ambassador Tsar stepped back from the center of the chamber, his final words lingering like an unanswered challenge. Whatever their reasons, one thing is clear. The humans are far more than we ever imagined. Whether that makes them our greatest allies or our most enigmatic adversaries is a decision yet to come. In the dark expanse of space, 3 human ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving behind more questions than answers questions the galaxy was only beginning to realize it had. Lieutenant Cooper. This is Captain Jorik, he began, keeping his voice calm but firm. We mean no harm. We represent the Galactic Council, an alliance of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. We seek dialogue and understanding. Surely your leaders can make an exception for such a historic moment? The line was silent for a moment, then Cooper responded, his tone measured. Your intent is noted, Captain.
However,
our protocols are clear. Non-human ships must remain outside restricted space. Jorik clenched his fists. We come in peace, Lieutenant. We've brought diplomats, scientists, and a military escort only for protection. If there's a misunderstanding, let's resolve it through proper discussion. Cooper's voice grew colder. Captain, I am not authorized to negotiate. Return to neutral space immediately. Dr. Velmuth leaned closer to her monitors, her compound eyes narrowing. Captain Jorik, she whispered urgently, there's something strange about their ships. They appear primitive, but these energy patterns, she trailed off, scanning again. It's as if they're hiding something. The power signatures don't match the technology we're seeing. Jorik frowned, but kept his focus on the conversation. Lieutenant Cooper, we cannot leave without at least delivering our message. If you won't allow us entry, can you arrange for a human envoy to meet us here? Another long pause followed. Then Cooper sighed. Hold position. I'll relay your request to Earth Command. The channel closed, and the alien fleet waited in uneasy silence. On the bridge, Jorik's crew exchanged nervous glances. "Captain," one of the officers said, "if these humans have hidden strengths, should we raise shields?" "No," Jorik replied. "Must show good faith." Minutes passed, stretching into hours. Finally, Cooper's voice returned. "Captain Jorik, your request has been reviewed. Earth Command has granted provisional permission for one ship to cross into human space under escort. Your diplomats and scientists may come aboard a neutral meeting station to present their case. Weapons on your vessel must remain offline." Exhaled, both relieved and wary. "Understood, Lieutenant. We will comply." The humans' small ships reconfigured their formation, creating a corridor for the Council vessel to follow. Dr. Velmuth adjusted her equipment and prepared her team, her mind racing with questions. Why did the humans keep their technology so understated? What could explain the bizarre energy patterns in this space? Most importantly, what secrets lay within human territory that they were so determined to protect? It's the selected council. Ship crossed the invisible border into human space. Its crew felt an immediate change. The stars outside seemed dimmer, the vast emptiness of space somehow more oppressive. Instruments that had functioned flawlessly moments before began to show anomalies minor at first, but growing. Velmuth's voice crackled through the cum. "Captain, I'm detecting distortions in space-time ahead. It's as if this entire region is being manipulated." Jorik stared out at the darkness, his unease deepening. For 3 centuries, humans had been an enigma. Now, as they ventured into the heart of that mystery, one thought dominated his mind. What if we just experiencing the effects of proximity to human space? Commander Sullivan explained, her tone calm but firm. "It is not harmful if exposure is limited, but prolonged presence can lead to ... complications. That is why we ask all foreign vessels to remain inside our borders." Dr. Velmuth's compound eyes flickered with alarm. "This is unprecedented. What in your space could cause such widespread phenomena?" Sullivan hesitated for a moment, then replied, "You're observing the boundaries of something humanity has adapted to live with. It's part of why we've remained isolated. Our territory is unique," Jorik asked, frustration edging into his voice. "What does that mean? Are you manipulating us? Using some kind of psychic technology?" "No," Sullivan said sharply. "We are not attacking or manipulating you. This phenomenon is a natural part of our environment, not a weapon. We don't fully control it, at least, not in the way you might think." Velmuth leaned closer to her monitors, scanning the unusual energy fields that surrounded the human ships. "These readings suggest some form of quantum anomaly. Is your territory naturally like this, or have humans caused it?" Sullivan's voice softened. "Doctor, we didn't create this environment, but we've learned to coexist with it. It's part of who we are now. However, it's also why we cannot let others enter, for your safety and ours." Jorik crossed his arms, still skeptical. "You're asking us to trust you based on your word alone. That's a lot to expect from the galaxy after 3 centuries of silence." Sullivan responded calmly, "You misunderstand, Captain. We're not asking for your trust. We're asking for your understanding that this is the boundary we've set for good reason." Before Jorik could reply, Dr. Velmuth interjected, "Commander Sullivan, if we cannot cross into your space, can we at least establish a neutral meeting ground? Some place where we might exchange knowledge without endangering our people?" Sullivan considered for a moment. "A neutral meeting ground is possible. We've used such arrangements with a few species in the past. However, it must be carefully controlled. We'll reach out to Earth Command to propose a location." "Controlled by whom?" Jorik asked, narrowing his eyes. "By both parties," Sullivan said firmly. "Trust is built step by step, Captain. This could be the first step, but only if we respect each other's boundaries." As the conversation ended, Sullivan gave a final directive. "For now, please return to neutral space. Your systems will return to full functionality as soon as you leave our territory. A human envoy will contact you with further instructions." With no other choice, the alien fleet began to retreat. As they crossed back into neutral space, their systems hummed back to life. Weapons, shields, and engines all responding as expected. Yet the sense of unease remained. On the bridge of his ship, Jorek turned to Velmoth. "What do you think?" She stared at her instruments, her compound eyes reflecting the faint glow of her screen. "I think we've encountered something beyond our understanding. If the humans are telling the truth, their isolation may be more for our sake than..." Jorek frowned. "And if they're not," Velmoth looked at him, her voice grim, "then we may have just glimpsed the edge of the most powerful." As he moved to a bench at the edge of his garden, sitting down with a contented sigh, the sunlight seemed to bend slightly around him, as if nature itself was responding to his presence. Pete pulled out a small book and began to read the pages. Turning themselves as he went along, spies exchanged uneasy glances, each grappling with the growing realization that the humans they were observing were not relying on hidden technology, at least not in any way their advanced instruments could detect. "This defies everything we know," Sinendel said, her voice a tense whisper. "There are no energy signatures, no neural implants, no external devices. They're manipulating reality with nothing. They must be using advanced quantum fields," Crix argued, though his voice wavered. "Something far beyond our understanding. We just need more data." They turned their attention to the city center, where a bustling market was alive with activity. People exchanged goods and chatted amicably, but the spies noticed more peculiarities. A vendor replenished his fruit stall by simply gesturing toward a nearby tree which bent its branches to drop perfectly ripened fruit into his basket. A child stumbled while running and began to fall, but their trajectory slowed mid-air, landing them softly on the ground. Kickstall's normally steady hands trembled as she adjusted her recording equipment. "This isn't just advanced technology," she muttered. "It's like they're rewriting the rules of physics." Suddenly, a faint ripple passed through the air, a sensation that made the spies' skin crawl despite their cloaking devices. Crix stiffened. "What was that?" "An energy fluctuation," Sinendel said, scanning her instruments. "It's faint, but directed. I think it's aware." Before they could react, a voice spoke, seemingly from nowhere and everywhere at once. "Visitors, your presence here is noted. We have allowed your observation, but you are reaching the limits of our tolerance." The spies froze. The voice was calm, almost kind, but carried an undercurrent of undeniable authority. Crix activated his communicator. "Who is speaking? Identify yourself." "You stand on human soil," the voice replied, "and your intentions are transparent to us. We understand your curiosity, but trespass is not welcome." Marduk's breathing quickened. "They can see us?" "How?" The voice continued. "Must leave now. This is not a threat, but a warning. The longer you remain, the more you will be affected." As the voice faded, the spies' cloaking devices began to malfunction, flickering and failing. Panic set in, as the alien operatives were suddenly visible, their forms shimmering against the backdrop of the peaceful city. From the forest, Pete Williams emerged, his kind eyes fixed on them. He carried no weapon, yet his presence was more intimidating than a fully armed battalion. "It's time to go," he said simply, his voice resonating with the same energy they had felt moments before. The spies hesitated, but something in Pete's gaze, an ancient, unfathomable depth, compelled them to comply. Crix initiated the ship's remote recall sequence. The group retreated to their craft under the watchful eyes of the townsfolk, who now stood silently, their expressions unreadable. As the spy's ship ascended and crossed back into neutral space, all systems returned to normal. The crew sat in stunned silence, each grappling with the enormity of what they had witnessed. Back on Nexus Prime, Sinendel submitted a brief report to her superiors. It contained only one sentence: "We cannot comprehend what we have seen." For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's most advanced intelligence operatives admitted they had no answers, only more questions. "Know we were coming? Our ship is equipped with the most advanced stealth technology in the galaxy. It should have been undetectable." Mayor Davis chuckled softly and took a sip of his coffee. "Your technology is impressive, Commander. Truly it is. But you misunderstand. The nature of what we detect, if we don't rely on machines to sense the world around us, we rely on ourselves. Sinindel leaned forward, her shape-shifting abilities now useless in the presence of these inexplicably perceptive humans. That's not an answer. What do you mean by yourselves? What exactly are humans capable of? Frank set his mug down and folded his hands on the desk. Humans have spent centuries evolving, not just biologically, but consciously. We've learned to understand and interact with the underlying fabric of reality itself, what you might call the essence of existence. It's not magic or technology. It's simply awareness. Kixtel, the Takari spy, interjected, her voice laced with frustration. You're saying you can sense our presence, our thoughts, even our intentions, just by ... being aware? Frank nodded. Precisely. It's a skill we've cultivated as a species over generations, and it's not just about sensing. It's about harmony, understanding, and influence. When your ship crossed into our space, the entire ecosystem felt your arrival. You're like ripples in a pond. We don't need machines to see the disturbance. Marduk, the Borvani, frowned. If that's true, why didn't you confront us immediately? Why allow us to observe your colony? Because we wanted you to see, Frank replied. You've come here seeking answers, and we wanted you to witness the truth with your own eyes. Humans are not what you expected, are we? Crix leaned forward, his reptilian eyes narrowing. No, you're not. You've managed to achieve what no other species has: complete dominance over your environment without the use of conventional technology. But how? What is the source of this ... awareness? Frank's smile faded slightly, replaced by a look of solemnity. The source is life itself, Commander. Every living thing is connected: plants, animals, people, even the stars above. Humans have simply learned to listen to that connection and to act in harmony with it. What you call technology, we call distraction. Sinindel shook her head. But this makes no sense. Your colonies are thriving, your people are healthy and happy, and yet there's no sign of traditional infrastructure. How do you defend yourselves? How do you travel the stars? How do you? Frank raised a hand, cutting her off gently. We're asking the wrong questions, Sinindel. The better question is, why do we choose to live this way? And the answer is simple: because it's better for everyone. For us, for the galaxy, for existence itself. The room fell silent as the spies exchanged uneasy glances. Everything they had witnessed defied their understanding of science, of reality. Finally, Crix spoke, his voice low and wary. Said your mayor was waiting for us? That means you anticipated our mission? What do you want from us? Frank leaned back in his chair, his expression calm but serious. We want nothing from you, Commander. But we do hope that what you've seen here today will help your people and the galaxy at large realize that there are other ways to exist. Ways that don't involve domination, exploitation, or destruction. He stood, signaling the end of the conversation. You are welcome to stay for dinner, but after that, we will escort you back to neutral space. Your journey here has already affected you more than you realize, and prolonged exposure to our territory could have lasting consequences. The spies stood as well, their minds a whirlwind of unanswered questions and unsettling revelations. As they followed Frank toward the dining hall, Sinindel glanced at Crix. What do we tell our superiors? Crix's gaze was distant, his thoughts racing. The truth, he said quietly.
I know whatever that is.
And as the dinner proceeded with laughter, stories, and an undeniable sense of peace, the alien operatives began to wonder if they had stumbled not upon a threat, but upon a profound mystery, one that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of humanity forever. Carlos stepped forward with a warm smile and nodded. Of course, he said, his voice calm and steady. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small steel ball, placing it on the desk in front of him. The spies leaned forward, their eyes fixed. On the object, Carlos raised his hand, not touching the ball, but hovering just above it. The steel sphere began to tremble slightly, then rose into the air, spinning slowly. Carlos moved his fingers gently, and the ball responded as if tethered to an invisible string. It twisted and contorted, elongating into a thin rod before folding into a perfect cube. then a star, and finally returning to its original shape. Sinendal's eyes widened. How are you doing that? There are no visible energy signatures, no technological interface. It's as if you're bending reality itself. Carlos set the ball back on the desk and smiled. In a way, that's exactly what I'm doing. Humans have learned to tap into the quantum field, the fabric of existence. With focus and intent, we can influence the physical world directly. No machines, no tools, just our awareness. Nancy Adams stepped forward next. And it's not just about moving objects, she said. She held out her hand toward a potted plant in the corner of the room. The plant began to grow, its leaves unfurling and its flowers blooming in real time. The room filled with a faint, sweet fragrance. Life responds to us, Nancy continued. We don't force it to grow, we encourage it. The plant feels our intent and aligns itself with it. It's a partnership, not control. Marduk, the Borvani spy, looked uneasy. This is ... unnatural. How can a species develop abilities that seem to defy the laws of physics? Ellen Carter shook her head gently. It only seems unnatural because you're viewing it through the lens of your own understanding. The universe operates on principles far beyond the mechanical and the measurable. Humans have simply learned to interact with those principles directly. It's not defying physics. It's expanding what physics can explain. Pete Williams chuckled softly, his kind eyes twinkling, and we're still learning. So much we don't fully understand. But we've discovered that living in harmony with the world, rather than trying to dominate it, leads to better outcomes for everyone. Crix leaned forward, his voice low and cautious. You said earlier that exposure to your consciousness can harm other species. Yet here we are, sitting in your office, unharmed. Why? Frank smiled. Because we've learned to manage our abilities. Humans have developed techniques to shield our thoughts and emotions, projecting only calm and peace to those around us. It's like lowering the volume on a loudspeaker. What you're feeling right now is a filtered version of our presence, designed to be safe for your minds. Sinandel crossed her arms, her voice skeptical. And you expect us to believe this is all for our benefit? That humans chose isolation out of altruism? Nancy's smile faded slightly, and her tone turned serious. Believe what you will, but the truth is, we chose isolation because we value life, yours, ours, and the life of the galaxy. Didn't want to risk causing harm while we learned to control ourselves. Carlos added, We've seen what unchecked power can do. Humanity has made its share of mistakes, and we've paid dearly for them. But we've grown, and now we're trying to live differently. The room fell silent as the spies processed what they had heard. Finally, Crix spoke, his voice laced with both awe and unease. Gosh. If what you're saying is true, then humanity represents a force unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. Your abilities could change everything your understanding of science, of life itself. Frank nodded. That's precisely why we've kept to ourselves. The galaxy may not be ready for what humanity has become, but perhaps, with time, we can all learn from each other and grow together. The alien operatives exchanged glances, the weight of the revelation settling heavily upon them. What they had discovered would have profound implications for their governments, their people, and the galaxy as a whole. Dr. Velmuth adjusted her communicator, projecting a series of holograms into the air above the council chamber. The images displayed the detailed findings from the spy mission, recordings of Carlos reshaping the pen, Nancy explaining human navigation, and Pete tending to his garden with an aura of calm energy visible through specialized scans. The evidence is overwhelming, Dr. Velmuth continued. Humans have evolved in a direction entirely unique among galactic species. Their ability to influence matter, perceive emotions, and navigate the quantum field directly is unprecedented. The murmurs grew louder, some delegates expressing disbelief, while others stared at the holograms with awe. This is impossible, representative from the Bactal Union exclaimed, standing abruptly. Such abilities defy everything we know about biology and physics. Ambassador Patricia Moore of the human delegation rose gracefully. Your reaction is understandable, she said, her voice steady and calm. When the awakening began on Earth, our own scientists were equally skeptical, but we have had centuries to study and understand these changes. Consciousness, we now know, is not bound by the limitations of physical matter. It is a force unto itself. Another hologram appeared, this time displaying neural scans of human brains. Dr. Velmuth continued her presentation. The human brain functions like a highly sensitive quantum antenna, capable of both receiving and transmitting information on a level we have never encountered. These abilities have been confirmed through rigorous analysis. Ambassador Zakdor raised a hand, signaling for silence. Commander Crix, you personally interacted with humans. In your opinion, do they pose a threat to the galaxy? Crix hesitated, his mandibles twitching nervously. If by threat you mean military aggression, then no. The humans we met expressed no hostility. Their isolation appears to be motivated by a genuine concern for the well-being of other species. However, he paused, choosing his words carefully. Their mere presence could have unintended consequences. Prolonged exposure to human consciousness has already begun to alter us in ways we do not yet fully understand. Sinindel nodded in agreement. I can feel things I never felt before. Motions. Thoughts. It's as if my mind has been opened to a new dimension. It is both exhilarating and terrifying. Dr. Velmuth interjected. This aligns with our findings. Exposure to human consciousness seems to catalyze latent psychic potential in other species. The implications are staggering, if managed properly. Humanity could help unlock similar abilities in others. If mishandled, it could lead to widespread psychological instability. Admiral Kevin Scott spoke for the first time. That is why we have remained isolated for so long. Humanity has no desire to disrupt the natural development of other species. We understand the weight of this responsibility. The murmurs shifted to a new toneless fear, more curiosity. A representative from the Killoran Confederacy spoke up. If humans can teach us to harness these abilities safely, it could usher in a new era of understanding and cooperation across the galaxy. Ambassador Moore nodded. That is our hope. But this must be done with caution and consent. We are not here to impose our ways, but to offer what we have learned to those who are. Ready? The chamber fell silent as the delegates absorbed the gravity of the situation. Finally, Zakdor spoke. This revelation challenges everything we thought we knew about the nature of life and intelligence. It will take time for our people to process this knowledge. For now, I propose a mutual agreement. Humanity will assist those species that wish to explore these abilities, while continuing to respect the autonomy of those who do not. Patricia Moore smiled. That is all we ask. The vote was unanimous. The galaxy was on the brink of a profound transformation, and humanity, once seen as a mysterious anomaly, now stood as a guide to uncharted possibilities. As the meeting adjourned, one thing was clear: the universe would never be the same again. Species suggested that humanity's abilities should be studied further before any decision was made. The chamber buzzed with speculation, fear, and curiosity. The implications of what humanity offered were staggering, both the potential bridge two unimaginable capabilities and a risk to galactic stability. Ambassador Zakdor raised a hand, silencing the debate. The Galactic Council must reach a consensus on this matter. Humanity's evolution represents a profound challenge to our understanding of the universe. But it also offers a chance for growth and cooperation. I propose a structured trial to assess the feasibility of limited interaction under controlled conditions. The delegates murmured in agreement, the room calming slightly. What would this trial entail? Asked an Irathian representative. Admiral Scott stepped forward. We suggest the creation of the first consciousness exchange station, as shown in our plans. It will serve as a neutral ground where humans and non-humans can interact safely, with all necessary precautions to protect alien minds and technologies. Ambassador Moore added, participation in the trial would be voluntary. Representatives from willing species can experience human consciousness under controlled conditions. And in return, humans will observe and adapt to alien perspectives, This mutual understanding can guide future policies. Sinindel, who had remained introspective since her return from Earth, stood. I will volunteer to lead my people's participation in this trial. I have already begun to adapt to the effects of human consciousness. With time, I believe others can as well. The declaration surprised many, but Sinindel's credibility as a survivor of the human world lent weight to her words. Slowly, other representatives began to express cautious support. Ambassador Moore nodded. We understand that this path is uncertain and that trust must be earned. Humanity has waited centuries for this moment, and we are prepared to move forward at a pace the galaxy is comfortable with. The debate continued late into the night, with representatives weighing the risks and benefits. Finally, Zach Dorr called for a vote. The resolution passed narrowly, with the majority agreeing to the trial under strict oversight by the Galactic Council. As the council adjourned, the human delegation remained seated. Quietly observing the alien representatives as they dispersed, Dr. Angela Foster turned to Admiral Scott. This is only the beginning. The trial will bring challenges we can't predict. Scott nodded. And opportunities we've dreamed of. For centuries, we've wondered if the galaxy was ready for us or if we were ready for the galaxy. Now we'll find out. Ambassador Moore smiled softly. Whatever happens, we have opened a door. The universe is about to change, and we will walk through it together. 6 months later, the first human-alien contact station opened at Haven Point, a neutral zone located between human and galactic space. Captain Jake Morrison, the merchant whose stranded ship had initiated this historic process, became the station's first human trade coordinator. Dr. Angela Foster established the Consciousness Development Institute on the station. With its first students, including Sinindel, who had volunteered for cross-species consciousness training, and young Belter, whose scientific curiosity overcame her species' natural caution. The early results were promising. Several alien species demonstrated an aptitude for basic consciousness awareness. A few even learned to sense emotions or influence simple objects through focused thought. But the greatest achievement wasn't in the abilities gained. It was in the understanding achieved, for the first time in galactic history. Species began to comprehend that intelligence could manifest in ways they had never imagined. Commander Crix, now fully recovered from his earlier experience, took on the role of liaison between the galactic military and human defense forces. He often stood on the observation deck of Haven Point, watching humans and aliens collaborate within their carefully protected environments. They were right, were told visiting dignitaries. The galaxy wasn't ready to understand what humanity had become. But perhaps we're learning. Back in human space, life continued as it always had. Children played games that involved levitating objects and sensing one another's emotions. Adults worked seamlessly with their environments, shaping matter through will and intention. Humanity's centuries of isolation were finally beginning to end, but it was a slow, deliberate process, safeguarded for everyone involved. Humans had learned the most important lesson of their consciousness. Evolution, great power required Eve,